Okay, everyone, welcome to the live preview of the FOMC meeting. Now, this is Brad Gilbert, CEO of Trades for Traders. Now, what I want to do is just give you a bit of prep, leading into this announcement. It's not for the faint-hearted. Out of all the fundamental releases or all the events, the FOMC is the epicenter of all financial markets. Okay, it's the main central bank that controls most of the purse strings around the world. So it's very important and will have ramifications. But like all central banks, they have, already given us the answers. Okay, the transparency is there. They've talked about what they're going to be doing. If you want to get onto the live coverage here, live broadcast, I'll just copy that and paste that in the text here. Click on that link, and you can actually get access to the event. If you want to start delving around the FOMC and the calendar, get on that website, the FOMC website. All the information that you need is there. Okay, one good thing to do is actually go through some of the previous transcripts. Okay, if you're looking at the say the event, you can go through the minutes from the February the 22nd. Good idea to refresh to see exactly what they were talking about. So then when Janet steps up to the microphone later, you can generally pick up straight away if there's a change of tone or text. Okay, that's what they go through with a fine-tooth comb. All the banks, they will go through that very closely. Now, what are you going to trade? Okay, well, it's a pretty tough one. Okay, so if you look at the major currency pairs, generally what I would say to you is trade the pair that has the best technical setup. But as you can see from the past week, I know sterling's had a bit of a brain explosion on that Brexit news, but most of them have been trading sideways, especially the start of this week, if not the end of last week as well. So with that, we've got contracting ranges, and that's going to create there's a bit of movement both ways and of course, an interest rate hike is pretty much 100% factored in. It's more the future forecast, which is going to move the currencies. And because that's a speech, right, you might get a bit of negative speech at the start. You may get some positive stuff at the end. It can create a bit of volatility. And because these currencies are near trend lines at the moment, you may get to see some of them false break, then back into the range. It could be a little bit tricky. Ideally, I think the best pairs to trade are the ones with the trend lines about 30 or 40 points away. That way, by the time they get there, they're actually really moving. Okay, so when they break those levels, it is a solid break and it keeps going. Now, the majors at the moment are probably a little bit sticky for that. If anything, the sterling market short. Now, I don't think there's any chance of the Fed not going. So, the market's already short sterling. I think it's already going down. So there's probably not much in that one. Euro market got itself a little bit long a day or so ago. Maybe there's some longs to be flushed out there, especially with the strong dollar. Aussie definitely looking to sell that through 75.30. And dollar yen, well, that's going to be a little bit loose, but probably down through 114.5. You've got to get on board there. If anything, I think one of the best trades that you'll find is actually on the dollar index itself. Okay, if you don't have dollar index on your brokerage account, probably find an account that does. I currently use Pepperstone just because I've got good rates and they've got a good distribution of products to trade. Now, look at this chart here. We're in a solid uptrend here. If anything, the dollar index has been jamming away between 102 sort of 20 and 100, 101 the last few weeks. I think it's really set up for a big move higher. Now, your initial level to potentially get in is above 101 sort of 80, above this sort of short-term resistance lines. Pretty weak resistance lines. Only got like 2 touches. I mean, it's not like epic. But what I do like at the top here is that double top around 102.25. That'll be a major focus for a lot of players. And at a probably more comfortable level, as I said, you want the break level on the trend lines to be 30, 40 points away. This is about 50 points away at the moment. I think it's looking really good. And then you look above this level, it's blue skies. Okay. If I go into the longer term sort of charts, okay, go back to sort of 2001, we're looking at the next major resistance level is 107. Okay, you get through 102.25, this thing's on the way. And this, I think, will happen if Janet Yellen does come out and gets a little bit aggressive and says, you know what, we're in a good position. We've got another couple of hikes coming up. And depending on the data, we may shoot up even more. Now, what may be the deciding factor on that trade already is if you have a look at the numbers, right? So, of course, we've got the interest rate meeting 2:30 in New York. If you come back earlier, we've got US retail sales and CPI numbers. Now, if those two numbers are strong, well, then it's not going to change the Fed. They're not going to raise by more, but it could potentially lead into Janet Yellen being very confident and being very strong and hawkish about further rate hikes in the US. And that's where I think we will see the answer to her speech, probably from today's data. Non-farm payrolls strong, US CPI retail sales, if they're both strong, well, you can definitely start, you'll see analysts start factoring in 3 more rate hikes after this one, taking rates in the US up to around 1.75%. That's a massive move in today's markets. So I think that's where the real cash is. Now, treasuries, okay, they're rallying as well. So you may see the initial movement on the dollar may be a bit all over the shop as the market sort of jostles and there's a repositioning. I think within 12 to 24 hours after this FOMC, I think we'll see the real move, and that's going to be dollar strength. And I think we'll see, maybe some significant moves over the coming months against a lot of these other currencies or major currency pairs that have got differing economic conditions. Okay, I know the ECB talking about raising rates, so maybe the euro doesn't go too far, up and down a bit. But Aussie, Kiwi, lambs to the slaughter, dollar yen, it will go where the dollar goes. Dollar CAD, it's a bit tricky at the moment as well. So maybe the Antipodeans, sterling, that's where the gravy is. No point really getting too aggressively on the crosses because they don't involve the US dollar, so you won't see it as big a move. All right. So have a look at that. The event is, it's pretty lively. If you haven't seen these before, definitely get involved. Have a look. Get the Fed page up. As I said, go to the press conference page and watch it live. Okay, it's nothing more exciting than getting involved. And I think that's one thing that you can do is get into this, experience it, watch the moves. Okay, see how choppy the currency gets. A interest rate announcement, and then once again, when Yellen starts talking, I think it's 45 minutes later afterwards. Okay, then then you can get a real sort of sense of how these central bank meetings play out. As I said, this is the most sought after event. It can also, like the non-farm payrolls, just be actually too big for its sort of own boots, and then the market sort of gets a little bit convoluted and you can't sort of see what's going on. But I'm telling you, afterwards, you will be able to see what's going on, and that's where the opportunities will lie. Okay, and this is all about building experience too. So make sure you have a look, see what's, or see where the biggest opportunities are, and then go from there. All right, it'd be great to get thoughts there on what currencies you think bullish, bearish for the dollar, and those various things, and hopefully we can sort of get a bit of a consensus. And I'll send out the results as we go forward. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much a rundown from me. All the best. If you have any questions, get in the trade zone and ask me the various questions, and we'll go from there. All right, team. Cheerio.